very visionary. It was a different kind of, I would say, spirit than what's happening oftentimes now at the United Nations. It was very visionary. It was not difficult to have consensus. The women seemed to really, they felt more like they're doing this together for the sake of women, for the world, than now we tend to be in our silos fighting for our own small points and at odds with others. I mean, not always, of course, but that does happen. So this is, I just did a couple little points. This was actually the original document, September 1995, at the 50th anniversary of the founding of the UN. So this was a little bit the language. It's good to hear it because it talks about honoring the women who paved the way, inspired by the hope present in the world's youth, determined to advance the goals, of course, equality, development, peace for all women everywhere, but not for ourselves, but for all of humanity. These are like that spirit that is much more global and broad and encompassing than we see sometimes now. Huh? And we dedicate ourselves unreservedly to addressing this and thus enhancing the advancement and empowerment of all women all over the world. So it's really quite an amazing event. Huh? And these are these famous 12 that you have been doing your homework, preparing. These are these famous 12 critical areas that were, identified in 1995, but still considered to be the main areas. Even at this time, 30 years later, of course, we're putting them together with emerging issues and IT and all these things that were not so pronounced before, but still the themes are similar, and I think it's good that we hold on to that because, as I said, there was some kind of a more sanity in the way things were being looked at that time. Huh? So I just want to maybe just take a couple of points. Some of the things that came out of the Beijing Platform for Action. Just and remember, I think our point is, of course, women have to have dignity. Of course, women have to have a chance at the table. All these things with what do you call it, entrepreneurship and these things. But actually, our way of doing it is not for ourselves. It is we're doing it because we have to be at our best, because we have to take care of everybody in this world and we have to really lift this world up. And so at the time of the Beijing Platform for Action, there was something like, before that, there were only 12 countries that had any kind of law related to gender-based violence against women. There was now 12, if you can imagine. And now, because of this Beijing platform, I think this is a very recent kind of statistic, almost 1,600 laws were passed in 193 countries. So just from the awareness of Beijing, of course it's wrong. So of course we have to do something about it. Next one is conflict resolution. Out of that came Security Council Resolution 1325. And from that on women, peace and security. And from that became the, this many, I don't know, at this point, I don't know how many, but some countries have security 1325 national action plans where within the country they have to report actually how they're doing on promoting women to peace positions of peace builders and peace leaders, actually, in negotiations. And then related to economic empowerment. So, of course, again, this point we spoke about before, but the importance of unpaid care work. First of all, at least being recognized. It wasn't even recognized, actually, but at least being recognized. And now, of course, we know there are other things coming up with some kind of remuneration. And even in some countries, actually, women, after they've raised their families, they can get university degrees without studying the full time, based upon sort of calculating what, as being a mother in the family, what kind of education that was. So it's really, there are lots of opportunities actually here. And so I just in the middle of all that, just calm down a little bit and look at our goals. and which Morika already said. But so all these things, though, I think our goals touch all of the other goals, actually, all of them. It's somewhere. And the same thing with the Sustainable Development Goals. Every single one touches somewhere. So, and now I want to say a little something about the work we did recently in Geneva with my committee, because I see it as a good practice model of how civil society can work with their governments, because we can work individually. Even I don't have an NGO, I could write letters to my government or my congresswoman, and engage. But of course, it's much better if we do it in groups, and it's much better than even just Women's Federation network globally, which is huge. But we need to align with other organizations that have similar thinking, because we're much more powerful. And so we made this year. We made it was called the Beijing Plus 30 Civil Society Consultation, October 1920. Merle came. She was the head of a working group. She led a working group, and Juliet came actually too. Yeah, right. And so it was good. Merle was working on environment. I was working on education and training. And was there someone else from the Women's Federation? Sandra, Women's Federation, Geneva. But just to say, it's kind of unique. Working in Women's Federation, we're often working among ourselves. In this event, we were 3 out of 300 actually. So it's really a good sign that there are a lot of like-minded women working on issues. Definitely some points we don't think the same, but we can wisely think on work on the important points together, and take some steps together. Can we change it from there? Is it possible the battery's out or something? There we go. Okay, so this is a picture of one of our events. It was at the Civil Society Forum. Basically, I have to go quickly, I know. We went for over almost 1 year. We invited women from all across our European region, ECE, European Economic Region, which includes America, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, includes many, many, many countries. And basically, we reached out from my NGO in Geneva and invited women to come together and said, let's work on these recommendations for our governments. So when they meet in October, we want to present them what we think are the important recommendations. And of course, because there were many women there, better than me, and they know the process is better than me. We were communicating a lot with governments along the way, sending them information. And well, anyway, we divided into 12 working groups, and over 6-8 months, we met hundreds of times, and with women that I didn't know before at all, but amazing women who I might have been a little bit afraid of before, but actually to work with them, actually, it was amazing actually to see how amazing good women are who are really fighting for these issues. So this was some part of our group, but that was our main. There at the platform, we had the Deputy Director of UN Women, we had the head of this European Commission, we had the Ambassador of Israel and Uzbekistan, we had the head of UN Women in European region, we had the head of the ITU, International Telecommunication Union, which is important now because of all the IT work, and we had a youth, and then we had me representing the civil society, women's civil society, and then these were some of the members who came. So it was quite some kind of feat, I must say, getting this to happen. Yeah. Okay, so this is just a little something from some of the things that led up to us meeting together in person, because of course during the year we were not meeting in person, we were meeting virtually. This was one online meeting we had with the working group on health, where we invited some governments and some people from the World Health Organization talked with us before. So these are all meant to be ideas you can have. If you have an idea based upon something the United Nations, a commitment of your government, you can organize a meeting like this and say, let's talk about these things. And you'd be surprised how much they might want to talk to you. Another one that is the working group on education, who had been working over months and months, but met for the first time in Geneva. Really, I didn't have a picture from you, but I'm sure there is one. And then this is something that my committee has been doing. We had 8 times over the 2 years, ambassadors' breakfast briefings, where we invited ambassadors from Geneva. Sometimes 15 came one time. And we sat around, we paid quite a lot of money to invite them for a nice breakfast at a nice restaurant just at the entrance to the UN. And then we became friends with them. And from that point, we're really like so close. We meet each other at the meetings at the Human Rights Council. But all this is the kind of the creative way we have to think. If you want to talk with ambassadors, you can't invite them to, some kind of a informal place necessarily. But you have to do something really nice. As we know, the Women's Federation does this. Of course, I'm sure we all do that. That's just another picture. And then, okay, here's now, I'm almost finished. Now, this is leading into our work that we're going to do now, because all these groups, these 12 groups that were meeting all year, sometimes we had 50 people in the group, even though sometimes only 10 showed up. This was the outcome from the Women in Health group, which had 5 doctors, which had all these women from California to Ukraine. And so after their meeting together, the point was to study what has happened since 1995 on these issues and kind of make an evaluation. So this is the recommendations that this group came up with. So they talked about mental health, preventive health, resources, or especially gender-specific health and prevention again, STEM and AI education to eliminate inequalities in healthcare delivery, strengthen the healthcare workforce, and again, something about mental health, which is like a big thing, is discussion now. So, and then here's education and training. That was my group. So we did it not only recommendations. I hope everybody's okay with the language and everything, but we had like 2 steps. First, the findings, and this is what you're going to have to do now in your group. First, you have to have a discussion about what is the situation. What are the findings? What have you discovered by doing, just by the work you do, but also by the survey that you conducted. These were the findings. There is discrimination in curriculum, difficult working conditions, cyberbullying, difficulty with culture and multilingual concerns, safety about digital technology, lack of awareness of the need for improvement. So anyway, but this came from the women from all over this region. It was quite amazing to work together like that. And then the second part was the recommendations. And so based upon what we found, then we sat together and we made short-term, medium-term, and long-term, 3 recommendations for each. And these were, as you can see, these were some of the adjusting teacher salaries to reflect the importance of the profession. Yeah, something with the digital, all women and girls should have digital education. Again, this point, like we just heard from Mr. Sanchez, somehow the governments have to help, really. So there were others, but we just chose a few. And then at the end of our event, then the next day was the day that the governments had their event at the United Nations. We had our event at a nice hotel that was actually donated to us by the Geneva Football Club, if you can imagine. Because the owner of the football club said he felt so sorry for women, the situation of women in sports, actually. So we gave it was like thousands and thousands of dollars, francs. And so anyway, then the next day we went to the government review mechanism. And actually, I was invited to make a report to the governments, in fact, myself and two others. And this is the meeting at the very end, just after it closed. We have LOPA, Banerjee, she's responsible and of the connection to the NGOs here in New York from the UN Women. And anyway, some very important women and some committee members and others. So this is just so you can see. These are, one of those is your regional ECOSOC commissioner. I don't know which one is which, with the Secretary General. So now we're, and that's that. This is just quickly, the event we had just a couple of days ago. That was our Geneva launching for the Commission on the Status of Women. We had 160 people online, and basically we again talked about, that's why it was a big time this time coming to the CSW, because it was about Beijing. And we did so much work last year, so we feel like we're coming here with so well prepared, actually. We had some very high level speakers coming and speaking, and quite a good group coming on. Now we go into your part. So this is just something that came up at the end of our event a couple of days ago, but some simple points about advocacy. You know, what to say. You should be action-oriented. She uses ABCs, the ABCs. Encourage accountability and budget support. Collect and use disaggregated data. You have to separate the men from the women's statistics so we can actually get a right picture. Engage women decision makers, those already in decision making. And then we should use existing frameworks. That's what we mean, like the Commission on the Status of Women or the Human Rights Council, the High-Level Political Forum. And then this is another part is the advocacy tips. Be action-oriented, encourage accountability and budget support, collect and use. Oh, it's the same. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So anyway, so now what we will do is we'll go into our breakdown groups by regions. But what we would like that you do is that which you have already been thinking about, you're going to identify these critical areas in your work. Some of you made the survey, so you know already. Some will be in your group who didn't do that yet, so you can discuss that a little bit. And then maybe there could be two steps of where it's like the findings and the recommendation. So first you can discuss for some period of time, your team leader can decide that. And you can just discuss a little bit the situation in your region. What do you find on these issues that you choose? And actually, what are the positive points? What are the good advances? But also, what are the challenges? And then at the end, you should talk about the recommendations that you want to make to your government to bring change, especially that you can work with them to accomplish. That is, again, our Women's Federation way of working is partnership through respect, through listening. And so I had my part here, and thank you very much. And I would like to invite Margaret, would you come up? And she is going to, just before we break into groups, maybe we need your help to do the group making. But maybe we're going to show this, the surveys that you, at least the surveys that you have filled out, some kind of compilation of that, and maybe Margaret will maybe give a few tips. Marley, how can we do this with breaking into groups?
But just by region.
Just by region. So we have the ECE region is America and Europe and Central Asia. How many do we have here for that?
Central Asia is the Kazakhstan states.
Yeah.
And there's South, there's Asia.
Then there's Asia. Yeah.
Japan, Korea, China.
Yeah. So that's one group. You have to find a place to meet.
Asia Pacific.
And then normally Asia Pacific is
Yeah.
with them, actually. So if any group is too big, you could divide it up, into just two groups. And then we have Africa. How many from African? Only two. Is it okay? You want to leave, or you want to mix with some other group? Yeah, okay. We can come around after and talk about it. And then we have Latin America, also Latin America. Yeah, Ecuador.
Oh, Jamaica.
And Jamaica. Yeah. Is there anyone who has roots from Latin America or Russia? I mean, or
Yeah.
yeah, you can join the other group if you want. You know, if you have some kind of heritage from that section. So, Margot, you want to take over here. So, anyway, thank you, everyone. Thanks for your attention and thanks for the work that you've been doing.
I think I need this. It's about. Okay. Hi everyone. Good morning. Good afternoon. Is it afternoon? So we collated your survey responses. Thank you very much for the time you have given. It's very valuable, the information. There were 26 of you who joined, who submitted their responses today at 2 a.m. So this is a mirror of us, of the here and now and the most recent projects that are being undertaken on the ground. So the profile of our participants, there were 23 participants of WFWP full-time, one from the media, one digital consulting, and one university-based. So that's a total of 26. So this is predominantly WFWP mirror. And so there are 26 participants of the survey, 8 came from the USA. Yay! A big round of applause. And then South Korea, 6. Taiwan, 6. Thank you very much. And then Japan, 3. Canada, Switzerland, and Ivory Coast, 1 each. So you see the percentage there of our pie, colorful pie. And what are the projects on the ground that had a relation with the Beijing Platform of Action? And we grouped that. And so majority are on education and training, 18 projects, followed by health and well-being, 17. So that's where the emphasis of WFWP experience is. And followed by women in power and decision making, 7 projects. Oh, there's women. Sorry, that's 2. That's not 11. Because I was counting doing like that. That's 2, not 11. Sorry. And then women in armed conflict is 1. And so there also is our percentage. 29% are on education and training. 27 on health. But there's always a relation, as Carolyn had said, when you give education and training to women and girls, it's like the content is on health, for example. So there's always a relationship there. And when you talk of women in power and decision making, that could tantamount to leadership programs or giving them power economically by the entrepreneurial projects, for example, in Rwanda, that's being cited very extensively in one of the reports, the survey. And so what are these programs? How do they look like? 11 projects are related to women and youth leadership and economic empowerment and networking and peace building. This is the effort to reach out and gain advocates in the local level and come up with the Ambassadors for Peace program and along that line. And family unity is on enhancement of communications and relationships within the family. Especially this is important among WFWP parents and children. There's also self-awareness and health. Mental health is being given emphasis, and especially on adolescent period. So a lot of counseling programs and leadership programs are on this aspect. And environment is relatively new. There are two projects, permaculture on the ground. And then cultural diversity, I would remember this is like university based. Um, the program at CUNY, the City of New York, City University of New York reaches out to different ethnic groups in the city and come up with this diversity and unity programs. And then media, that's one, that's only me. I am doing some local journalism here in New York and in the East Coast. So that's the programs. That's how women's effort look like. And where do these projects come from? How are they determined? From top management, let's see the color. It's 33%. And from local women, meaning it came from the ground, 46, and initiated by leaders who saw the need. For example, permaculture, Ms. Merly Barlaan initiated permaculture in her own village, and Dr. Chopra, did I say the right word? Yeah, would initiate her projects too on digital technology leadership and enhancement among young people. So that's when leaders see it as the need and they have the expertise, they just do it. Okay. And so resource mobilization. There is a common thread in this room that local and international funding are coming from communities of business and NGOs. And there is, and that's majority at eight cases being mentioned. And then local government grants when the nonprofit, the NGOs apply. And within the WFWP network, it's just like self-sufficient, self-contained. And two do not have government support. And mostly the projects are run by volunteers in terms of giving time, in terms of giving small donations to the group or to the program, and in terms of providing skills. So the gap is on mostly on funding. And what are the challenges? So funding, limited or lack of funds, sustainability of funding, and then the marketability of programs. So you expressed that there's difficulty in identifying participants. You also mentioned of the sustainability of participation in programs or in this turnover of participants, for example, in programs like the NGO Academy, many would opt out from the training. So that's a challenge. And then diverse cultural practices where unity and collaboration becomes a little bit difficult. And then the community has less knowledge on the programs of the nonprofit of your organization and the SDGs. So this has been expressed by one, but it's practically covering everybody. It's true to everyone. And then organizational limitations. You expressed lack of venue for programs and the lack of trust for instructors and less time given by volunteers because of the challenge of the need to earn somewhere else. So volunteers also are being, they leave. And then there is internal conflict within the organization that discourages participation. And so there's also a lack of local leadership. So this is a reflection of like honing second liners. Who else would do the work when there's only one. So the leader is like stressed doing everything. So that's one of the organizational challenge. Okay, but in terms of impact of what you are currently doing, yes, it's across everybody. It's a yes that individuals and groups have improved their lives. It has increased the confidence of leaders and it has improved the enthusiasm of members. It also has enhanced the knowledge and planning and operating skills of the organizers, the managers of the program. And it has improved the relations among parents and children in the program for families. It has opened doors for innovation and it opened doors for new opportunities. It's interesting to know that women are taking interest in previously male dominated roles or jobs. So they're stepping up. But still, there's so much work to do. That's also a big agreement. So here, what's the plan of action? We tried to summarize what the participants wanted to do in the immediate sense. So you have to build stronger partnerships with local government for a steady stream of funding, and you have to seek more funds locally and internationally. By the way, the respondents, the participants, only experience local funding in their at their level. No, nothing, nothing as big as international. Like it's not that big or common. And so when you expand, there's a need to expand the network of volunteers and advocates. There's also a need to develop region-specific programs, meaning needs-based, so that there'll be a lot of buy-in from participants and advocates, and need to come up with online and offline integrated education to reach out to the larger number of people, and develop diverse and specialized education to foster a sense of community. So it's more on heavily on education. Now, call to action. You would see the words here. It's not really like technocratic UN language. It's really like very local. It's really coming from the raw experience, organic experience of the women. So you wanted to invigorate community engagement, tap local government, businesses, non-government organizations, universities, and private organizations to further sustain the presence of the program. And there's a need to collaborate with government to finance certain projects. And there's a need to tailor programs for stakeholders so that it's really designed for them. And then economic empowerment and environmental programs needed to be intertwined, like when you have entrepreneurial programs, at least you could see the innovation of including the environmental aspect of that. And community storytelling and documentation, so that whatever little thing you're doing, it's being told, it's being published in the community, and so it becomes circular that people learn about it and continue and provide support. So that's a way to make it sustainable. So that's the overall call to action. So that's it for the survey. Thank you to the 26 participants.
Thank you so much. She actually designed the survey. It was very, very well done. Yeah. So I know we're late and everyone's probably hungry and tired of sitting, right? So maybe we'll just take 15 minutes just to get in our little groups to start a discussion. And the second part of this we can do after lunch, kind of the reporting back. So maybe can you find your group? So maybe the Europe group, should we go in the back? Europe. And then anyone else want to choose a place? Europe, and well, Europe is with America too, it's the ECE region, yeah. So maybe we might want to divide up. And, so everyone find your little team. And can you do that without, I think, yeah, okay, Korea's proactive back there. So just we take 15 minutes and start discussing. Huh?
Alright, so if we can get Europe in the back, we're gonna get Central and Africa into the middle.